All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the 2025-2026 Unified Indoor Bocce preseason coaches meeting. Really excited for this first indoor bocce season for me. We have a great team here to go through these slides with us. So first, we're going to start out with the Cool Schools Plunge. These are just the dates. If your school is interested in attending and want to get something set up, you can reach out to Allison Christian. Her email is below, and she will be more than happy to get things set up for you. First, we have Miss Katie Turner, who is our Unified Bocce Chair. I'm excited to have Katie back again this year. She's been around for a while, so she's a great resource to have for us, and just very excited to have her at Bocce again this year. We also have Tyler Harrell, the manager for high school unified sports. Very excited to have Tyler back. He's been an amazing asset to the team, and just excited to have him back. Your district reps will be working a lot with him for paperwork and stuff like that. So if you have any paperwork questions or any questions at all, you can reach out to Tyler. And then for those of you that don't know me, my name is Melissa Anger. I am the new senior director for high school unified sports. I have replaced Zach Cintron, who moved to a different position with Special Olympics. He's still around, but I will be taking over as the senior director for unified sports, and very excited to work with you guys this year. So going on to some administrative stuff about the season. This is just a season timeline for everyone. According to MPSSAA, November 15th is the first day of practice for winter sports. So please don't start before that, but start anytime after that. December 5th is the first eligible play date according to MPSSAA. All paperwork is due to us by December 17th. That is the application for participation and the team roster declaration forms. It is extremely important to get everything in by this date. We have to do a lot with it, so it's really important that we get it in on this date so we can get things moving. Get it in before the holidays, so it kind of helps us out a little bit. Also, December 18th, the team assessments may begin. So you can practice before that, but don't start doing the assessments before the 18th, please. January 6th, the post-season registration is due. So what the assessments are, you put them on the post-season registration, and that is what gets submitted to us by January 6th. So you as coaches will send this to your district reps, and they might have different dates for you. So please follow the dates that they are requesting. District tournaments can be anywhere between January 22nd and February 2nd. It's a very short time, I understand that, but that gives us the opportunity to get everything together and ready for the 10th, which is the state tournament. We will have the pre-competition webinar the night of February 3rd. So if your team advances to the state competition at Hagerstown Community College, then you will be required to join that webinar on February 3rd. It'll be around 6:30 start time, but we will send out a link to those that advance. So any questions on the deadlines, please reach out to your district reps, and they can reach out to myself, Katie, or Tyler for any questions. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Tyler.
Hello. So before we jump into paperwork, we're going to go over a little bit about Unified Champion Schools. Unified Champion Schools are an extremely important part of Special Olympics. Data proves that schools that implement all three components are more inclusive, accepting, and supportive in school culture. Here you can see the three components are whole school engagement, inclusive youth leadership, and inclusive sports and activities. So our federal grant allows SOMD to grow and broaden inclusive programs across the state. There are two critically important parts that we need your help with. The primary mark for success, as established by Special Olympics North America, is the number of three component schools we have in Maryland. Implementing all three components, unified sports, inclusive youth leadership, and whole school engagement, can be done by following the Play for Success roadmap, which can be seen right here. The Play for Success roadmap outlines what's likely happening already in schools that sponsor unified sports. So let's walk through these details. For component one, unified sports, that's accomplished by having a unified sports team for your seasons. If you're watching this, you've already done component one. For component two, inclusive youth leadership, all schools that sponsored unified sports are now required to have unified captains. At minimum, the coach needs to name one pair of unified captains consisting of a Special Olympics athlete and a unified partner. Coaches may rotate the captain distinction to more than one pair, and by rotating captains, many players get the opportunity to serve their team and experience leadership. Even the quietest players will feel an uptick in self-confidence, which will likely help them come out of their shell a bit more. Plus, they'll know that they're a valued member of the team. We all want students to be successful in every way, and that absolutely includes when they serve as captains. We strongly encourage coaches share the National Federation's trainings with their selected captains. These trainings are 1 hour each and self-paced, meaning one can stop and start the training as they choose. Once complete, the student captain will receive a downloadable certificate from NFHS. So now moving on to component three, whole school engagement. Schools that sponsor unified sports will, at minimum, include unified teams and pep rallies and recognize that unified teams are in the same fashion as other school-sponsored teams. Additionally, schools are strongly encouraged to promote spectatorship at least one competition. Special Olympics refers to this as fans in the stands. The school will select at least one home competition to encourage school support and spectatorship. This could be the first home match of the season, the senior recognition, homecoming, and/or a match that supports awareness like autism awareness. Encourage spectators to come out by including details in the morning announcements and/or having signs, posters, or other things like that to promote the competition. Schools that have the most success give their responsibility to a popular student group like the SGA, National Honor Society, Best Buddies, and/or the Unified Club. So now on to the roster form. For many of the returning coaches, this will look very similar, but there is slightly some new differences that we started this year. You can go to the next slide, Anger. So section one up here refers to the federal grant reporting information, captaincy and team recognitions that I went over earlier, and section number 2 requires the coach's initials. Acknowledging team recognition will occur as stated. Over here, where it says last column, use checkboxes. That is where you will designate who will act as your team captains. And like I mentioned previously, please select at least one athlete and one unified partner to serve as captains, but you can choose more if you want to. And after the season starts, if you can get these into us before district tournaments, we'll be able to get you certificates to give to these captains with their name on it and recognize them as captains. We can skip this slide. And skip this slide. All right, so this is our application of participation for students. This is required by each student once a school year and does not need to be repeated if a student has already completed this school year. Additionally, starting this year, we added a line that includes the CDW into this form, so students do not need to submit a separate CDW form. It's all in one form. Just some reminders. Please, please, please make sure that all sections are filled out. We can accept it without a date, without a parent's signature, or if the little tiny boxes that might get missed aren't checked. The one that asks about a disability, the one that asks about criminal history, please make sure that these are all filled out before submitting. So, Class A clearance. This is required for all coaches and volunteers. This includes the protective behaviors training as well as an SOMD administered background check. Both of these are required to be updated every 3 years. So now for a little walkthrough on how to do the protective behaviors training. You can use this link here or also find it on our website, and it will take you to this page right here. You will then click follow this link to watch the protective behaviors training. You'll then be taken here where you'll need to watch the entire video. And then you will get to this section where you hit complete the quiz. Once you've completed the quiz, you'll click submit, making sure you've answered all the questions, and you'll scroll down to where you see done. After clicking done, a certificate will appear. You'll have to type your own name in it, but we would also recommend to print or screenshot or save a copy of this. There have been instances where for some reason someone says they've done it, but we can't see it on our end. So if you have this, this can help avoid any issues with the protective behaviors. And now on to the background check. This is required for all coaches every 3 years, all volunteers every 3 years. Should look the same to all of our returning coaches, but similar to the application of participation, we have included a line for the CDW, so that is not required anymore. Again, please make sure all boxes are filled out. The little criminal history bubbles sometimes are easily forgettable. And there's also a second page to this, which requires a signature. You can't accept it without the signature and date on the second page. So you'll know you've successfully completed your sign up once you have done the protective behaviors training and have successfully passed the background check. Just another little reminder, I will be sending out updates throughout the year on what has been submitted, what you still need. Keep in mind this is a general submissions tracker. Not all of them will be completely in-depth checked, but as we get closer to district tournaments and states, there will be more in-depth checks with what's missing. So just keep that in mind that there may be some more things that need to be fixed than you may originally think as we get closer to states. And all coaches' resources will be available online on at our IUS Indoor Bocce resource page, which there's a link right here. This is just more about the coach resource page related to what forms you can find, match protocol, how to host a district tournament, some coaches training tools, webinars, things of that nature. And that's it for my section. Thank you.
I can hop in. So COMAR is just what we apply to with our MPSSAA code of conduct for our sport, how we align with the state of Maryland. So this is just information that we are required to show. And so now on to rules, updates, and reminders. So we've had a lot of questions in the past about ramps and their specifics. So we are continuing to work with Olympics North America, Special Olympics North America, and our community program to talk about specifics for ramps. But as of the 23-24 IUS indoor bocce season, we still have not yet mandated specs for ramps. We do have recommended ramps that we have given our AOK on. That's linked here, and we can give you more information if you need it. But the ramp rules are pretty self-explanatory. But we wanted to remind you that they can be used at either the regular 10-foot foul line or the extended 20-foot ramp wheelchair foul line. The front part of the ramp where the ball leaves the ramp and touches grass or turf cannot pass whichever foul line the player chooses to roll from. A unified partner can help set the ramp up, but for an athlete, but should not be doing all the work with aiming. That is on the athlete. They should communicate the best that they can where they want to aim. So basically what this means is a partner can come in and help move the ramp, but they cannot help the athlete like, hey, we're going to aim it this way. So that's actually a violation. So the athlete should be leading that discussion on where they want it to go in their way. So just to show you what we're talking about. So the 10-foot foul line is right there that's where this is in our handout or in the coach's manual for you to look at as well. So who delivers the first ball? This has been a discussion for the last 2 years. So we have made sure that the wording in the handbook has been cleaned up to reflect this. So after a team delivers the Polina to start, the person or the player who delivered the Polina does not have to be the first to deliver that team's first throw. That can be anybody on the team. It's just the Polina needs to rotate through. It seems like the idea of the player delivering the Polina having to then deliver the first ball has circulated over the years as an unwritten rule that teams have followed. I thought it was this way when I was a coach, but it is not specifically stated. But if you would like to continue having your Polina thrower roll the first ball, that's fine. But we're just saying that the Polina needs to be rolled by everybody. And the first person to roll the ball does not have to be the person who threw the Polina. And we can explain this a little bit more if you need more clarification. So coaching during matches. So we've had some coaches issues over the past few years. So we're making some changes that should be make this a little bit easier for everybody and easier to understand because this is supposed to be enjoyable for everyone. Players and coaches may communicate when a player steps away from the court. That means their 2 feet are not inside the court. As soon as an athlete steps or a player steps into the court, coaching communication stops. If a player looks back to you for reassurance or anything, you can say like, good job or something to that effect, but you cannot do any coaching once a athlete partner steps onto that court. As soon as they step off after they've thrown, you can talk to them and everything. And before they even get into the court, you can talk to them like, hey, remember, you got to throw the ball. But as soon as they step onto that court, all communication ceases. So you got to also communicate in a timely manner. You cannot delay game. And that's something we talk about in the next slide or next few slides. Do not delay game. It should be a quick conversation. We don't want anybody to receive this penalty. This is bocce. We're having fun. And just as a reminder, basically, once somebody steps into the court, it should be timely. So if you know an athlete is going to take a moment and you got to encourage them, talk to us before that particular athlete or partner gets on the court, talk to the other coaches. Communication's key is basically what we're trying to deliver here. Coaches, you got to stay within the coach's box. We'll designate that on the floor. We will even provide you with a chair so that the athletes can keep their 4. But we want you to be there for your team. But if you cannot follow these directions, these are the different warnings that we will follow by the officials on the court. But like I said, basically just communicate with your athletes when they're not in the box. As soon as they step on the court, then it's off limits. So here's the coach's box. It's nice and green. So basically it's just up to where the first line is for delivery. And you can stand anywhere in those different areas or sit if you prefer to have a chair. So roster lineup and requirements. So the roster is composed of a minimum of 4 and a maximum of 8 players. So with rosters with 8 players, 2 additional players, so one with a disability and one without, can be designated as substitutes. At least 50% of your roster should be players. So it should be an even 50-50 if you have 4. And the remaining players should be students without disabilities, and there must be a minimum of 2 students with disabilities and 2 students without disabilities on every team roster. If you're in a position where you have 3 athletes and 1 partner, try your hardest to get another partner. Speaking from experience, if that partner is sick, you are now have an ineligible team. So try your hardest to have as many players as you can. But like we said, no more than 8 in your original, and you can have 2 substitutes. So lineup, like I said, is generally it should consist of 2 players with a disability and 2 without, or 3 players with a disability and 1 without. So you can have the 2-2 or 3-1. So rotations and frame substitutions. So if you have more than the 4 players on a team and you want to rotate in or substitute, it has to be done before the palina is thrown for that frame. And once a palina is thrown, the 4 unified teammates selected for that frame must throw a bocce ball. You can't be like, oh, so-and-so is just not going to do it this frame, so we're going to have so-and-so throw in their stead. That's not how this works. If the athlete started or a partner started that frame, they got to continue with that frame. So rotations and frame alternatives. So if you have that 9th or 10th player on their roster, you can sub them into the team of 8 between full matches or during a match once. So if a player is subbed out for a match, they cannot return. So let's say like Anger and I are playing and Tyler's subbing in for Anger. Anger is done for the rest of the match. So that Tyler can have an equal opportunity. And like we were talking about with delay a game. So for indoor and outdoor, we've been observing and we've been having the officials kind of help us out with this and being more intentional in monitoring. And this is very loosely defined play clock that we set about 45 seconds to a minute. We did fully implement this kind of last year, and we have found that a lot of teams, this was not an issue. There was 1 or 2, but with just a little bit of a quick talk, everything got back to being on point. So just continue to communicate this with coaches that, hey, once a kid enters, you got to help kind of push them along to keep the pace of play going. So when you are submitting your paperwork to Tyler and to me, when it comes to doing the different brackets and lineups and everything, I am the person who sits down and creates the state's brackets. In order to figure out which team is which, please do not use your school colors. Do not use animals, colors, shapes. It's not helpful. I need numbers. So if you have a team where you have 3 teams, because you have I don't know, more than 15 kids, do like best high school 1, best high school 2, best high school 3. So don't do team 3. It's just simpler is easier, but just have those numbers, makes my life easier, helps Tyler out. And then we can, when we're communicating with you, we can say, hey, team 2 has this issue. And uniforms. So we are cracking down on uniforms because this has been something that we have been fighting for the last few years. As a kind reminder, all interscholastic unified sports must have the logo on their shirt somewhere. It can be on their chest. It could be on their shoulder. It can be on the back. We do have them available for purchase. Please reach out to us if this is going to be an issue, and we can talk about how we can support you with this.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in real fast, Katie. With this, like Katie said, we're going to really crack down on uniforms this year. Shoes must be athletic shoes. No boots, no anything. Must be athletic shoes. No Crocs, no Hey Dudes. Athletic tennis shoes that tie. Bottoms must all match. They don't have to be the same exact pair of pants, but same color. If you want your whole team to wear khakis, go for it. But if they're going to wear black pants, make sure they're all wearing black pants. Some can't wear khaki, some can't wear black pants. Each team must match and they must fully match. So some people can't wear hoodies. If everyone wants to wear hoodies, the school hoodie, fine. But everyone has to match. We want to make it look like we're a true varsity sport because in our minds we are. So make sure everyone matches fully on each team, or we will say that they can't participate.
So it's all good. So if you need uniforms or equipment, first things first, check with your AD or your supervisor of athletics at the school level. If you also, you could talk with your district rep if you're a coach watching this. And if funds are not available, let us know and we will work with you to be able to assist. But we can't guarantee that we are able to fully purchase everything. So just talk with us and we can see what we can figure out. But I'm going to also talk with Anger about or piggyback off of Anger. So if you know you have a athlete that can only wear pink Crocs and they will have a complete meltdown if they can't wear the pink Crocs, let us know. We are going to, when we get to states, have the accommodation list like normal, but please communicate, start to get your teams into that habit with the uniform. Like when you go to your different matches, start to have them in that practice so that they are not blindsided when they come to states and we say to them, you can't wear jeans. But if you have any questions, concerns, or anything you need to discuss with us, please reach out to your district rep. District reps, obviously, you have our information. You can reach out to us at any time. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thanks, Katie. And one thing we did forget to mention, I know in the past we use Volunteer Hub for volunteer backgrounds and paperwork and everything. We're not using Volunteer Hub anymore. If you did it last year, it's still good for another 2 years, but you cannot go in and do that for this year. You have to submit the paper forms, which Tyler went over, and all your district reps do have access to. If you need it, we will be more than happy to send it to you once again. But again, Volunteer Hub, we're kind of phasing that out. So please don't go into Volunteer Hub and do a new account or forms or anything like that because that is not going to be accepted anymore. Another thing is we started in the fall with the Google Drive and submitting paperwork through there. We'll give you guys all access to an indoor bocce one, just like we did for the fall. So that way you can submit the forms the same exact way and make it nice and easy for you guys. But thank you all for joining us tonight or today, whenever you're watching this. Really appreciate all you guys do and can't wait for a great bocce season. Like Katie said, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. But thank you and good luck with your seasons. Have a great day.